So that is what
Yeah.
an IFS session would look like. And we could, I would encourage you to journal what happened. And then you could keep writing with those parts, having those parts write to tell you more about themselves. And you can continue showing them compassion. I always write, you want to write the fearful one wants to say whatever it wants to say, and the sad one can say what it wants to say. And then you in your compassion can respond. So that there is this, you said there's sort of a three-way dialogue, right? There's the two of them and there's you here also. So we want to have you and your compassion there so they really can hear that. And that we know from your body reaction, we know there's something else here, right? There's something pretty powerful that these two parts are maybe protecting or, protecting you from. So there's some big emotion here. And it makes a lot of sense to me that your system, did a stop sign, because our systems do that and we want to listen to that. And so, yeah, there's a stop sign, but we know from that energy and from that emotion that there's something else here. That's great.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. You are listening to Don't Be Afraid to Talk podcast with James. I believe if we are going to affect change, we must go back to the basic, which for me, in essence, is conversations. Talking and listening is key for growth, and I hope our stories will bring us together and we can draw inspiration from each other. Conversation will include topics such as mental and physical health, trauma and its effect, suicidal thoughts, recovery, and well-being. We will continue to raise awareness and offer a different perspective, a mindset or an idea that could inspire you to take charge of your well-being and to grow as a human being. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Ask the Therapist. Today I'm joined by Tammy, who's a clinical mental health counselor, a psychotherapist, also a podcaster, and she's also an author of a book called The One Inside. I'm reading the book. How did I forget that? the one
okay.
inside. Yes, if you are listening today, have an open mind, and we hope you can learn something from today's episode.
That's
Tammy,
lovely.
how are you?
I'm good. That was a great introduction. You're doing a great job.
I'm okay now.
Yeah, I have a part that wants to just take care of your anxious part. So you have an anxious part, and I have a caregiving. I have like a mom caregiving part that wants to just let you know you're doing a great job and wants to like bring you some water and a cold rag.
But like, calm down there. Yeah.
Well, no, it's like a mom part. I don't know. Some mom caregiving part is triggered. Like, oh, I want to take care of you.
Yeah, I'm okay now. It's just that first part that gets me, but yeah, I'm getting a lot better. That's the plus. So yes. Sorry, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. Well, like you said, I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor, which in the United States, every state has kind of different ideas of or different type of licensing. And so I have a master's degree and I'm a therapist. And so I practice a type of therapy called internal family systems. And I have a podcast about that, and I wrote a book about that. Some people have called my book like a dummy's guide. You remember those old books that are like dummy's guide to this. Like, so my book can be a dummy's guide to IFS, or just sort of like if you're curious about IFS or just want to know a little bit more about it. It's a really good, simple, I think, version of what IFS is, and helps you just start to kind of do your own self-help. Like people that love self-help stuff, it's a good way to start learning about IFS and start doing your own inner work.
I think if you get a grasp of the parts, it gets fascinating.
It is. It is
gets very
fascinating.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, before we get going, we're going to play a quick game called One for One.
Perfect.
I'll just give you a word and you say the first word that comes to your mind.
Love it.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay. So the first one is basketball.
I hate it.
That you can say that. Pumpkins,
Pie.
paddleboarding,
Love.
lobster,
Yum.
cinnamon.
In my coffee.
That's it? Why do you hate basketball? Because you were not good at it?
Okay, well, so it's funny because then I have another part that's like my son loves basketball and we have a basketball net outside and we will play basketball and it's a very amazing fun like mom son bonding. He's 13 now. We went on vacation to Florida and went to a store and bought a basketball. For the week we were there and bought a basketball and found all these different courts all over the town. We were in Florida and we just found basketball courts everywhere. Found a basketball court on the beach. And just love doing that. So I find it interesting that there's a part of me that said that I hate it immediately instead of this other story. So this is a great kind of segue into IFS because my current life, basketball is a sweet bonding time between me and my son. He loves it and we have fun doing it. But when I was growing up or when I was in, I think, middle school, my friends all joined the rec basketball league and I joined it because I like friends and I'm social and all my friends quit. But my mom had already paid the money and she would not let me quit. And so I had to play basketball and I was terrible at it. And I don't know how many people you need on a basketball team, like 5 or something. So we only had 6 players and I was always the only one like on the bench. They would like never put me in.
No, she's okay there.
Well, it's funny because then I never ever got a basket. I mean, it was terrible. But at the end, like at the end banquet, they gave me like a trophy for being like the encourager. Like I was the encourager of everybody, and yeah. So my parts instantly go to like a childhood memory of it, which was like kind of embarrassing and a little bit awful, instead of a current memory. Currently, basketball is actually a connecting experience where in my childhood it was a very shaming experience.
Yeah, so when someone says basketball, you go back to that initial feeling, which is no.
No,
Yes.
thank you. No, thank you.
Then it's like, yes. Great. And that's very good pastime, nice way to connect with basketball.
Yeah,
even you're not really a fan of it, but you know how to play it.
What is taken on a different meaning, right? It's taken on it's a different experience and it's taken on a different meaning as an adult. But this is what happens. We have these things that happen to us in childhood or beliefs or experiences, and then we can be adults and those things could be triggered. So, instantly the word basketball triggers this childhood experience because my body, my body is remembering that instead of the updated adult experience that I have, which is basketball is a bonding, connecting experience.
Totally, yeah. Great. Now, let's get on to a couple of questions that I have for you. And one of the things you talk about in your book is creating harmony. So what does that look like?
Yeah. So I think the way to answer that question is to really talk about what's disharmony. Like, why do we need harmony?
Okay.
And one of the things that's like, if we think about like not having harmony, I want everyone to, like, if they're listening, to think about the voices in their head, the self-talk that creates disharmony. So it could be, the part of me that, well, let's take playing basketball with my son, right? A part of me that says, hey, go out and play basketball. And another part of me that says, hey, you need to start dinner now. And then I'm like, oh, and then I get stuck and frozen and I don't know what to do. Right. So that's a good example of disharmony. We have all these voices, all these different parts of us that have different, right? Like, yes, I want to do the dishes, or I want to get dinner going because maybe I want to, get dinner going and do the dishes so that, my son and I can connect later and watch a show together. And then another part is like, well, no, wait, because playing basketball, because that's a good thing to do right now. And then another part of me is like, I don't know the right thing, so I'm just going to actually eat all the Oreo cookies and stand here in front of the fridge. And so that creates disharmony, though, right? There's all these different voices, not really sure what I should do and kind of telling me different things. And then I could have another voice telling me, you're so stupid, you don't do anything right. Why can't you be an adult? Blah, 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 blah. So all of those voices create disharmony.
So you just like, that's when the procrastination comes in.
Oh, sure, right? Because we're kind of stuck, right? And so, or we're stuck, or the distraction. So the procrastination is a great example of a part of us that's trying to help us. Like so procrastination is a part that could be, I don't know what to do, so I'll procrastinate, or I feel overwhelmed. So the procrastination is a part that a lot of us, this is another example of disharmony. A lot of us hate procrastination. Like we hate the parts of us that procrastinate, and we feel frustrated that about the parts of us that procrastinate. However, if we turn towards the procrastinating parts of us with a little bit of curiosity, we would find out that they're actually trying to help us.
Because they want to take away the bad feeling. So if I procrastinate, I feel good.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. In this moment, right? I feel good in this moment. And that's what the parts are often mostly concerned about, is what's happening in this moment. So in this moment, I'll procrastinate. At this moment, I won't make a decision about playing basketball outside or making dinner. I'll do nothing, because that's the best thing I can do in this moment to feel okay, to feel safe, to feel good, but to feel safe.
Yes, definitely. And the thing is, we tend to, I think if you don't understand the part thinking, we tend to think that like I'm a procrastinator, because a lot of us say that.
Yeah, I'm a procrastinator. It's who I am, right? I'm a procrastinator, and that's who I am. And then we'll notice parts of us that can kind of get arrogant about it. Well, that's just who I am. What are you going to do about it? That's just who I am, right? Like, and so then I don't have to excuse it. It's just sort of who I am. And then, sorry, speaking of my son, he's sneaking in the room.
Yeah, the door was opening in the background. She's talking about you.
Yeah, I'm talking about you. There he is. And so, but that causes disharmony too, right? There's sort of the procrastinating part, and then there's a part that defends it, or there's a part that that says, well, that's who I am, and that's all I am. And then there's a part that says, well, I can never change because that's who I am. And then probably parts that don't like that about us. I wish I wasn't a procrastinator. It's embarrassing. I feel shame. There's something wrong with me. So all of those, right, the sort of 4 different parts we just named, those parts just around procrastination, that causes us unhappiness or frustration or disharmony. Yeah.
So when you talk about creating harmony, is becoming aware of all of those parts that may be taken in any situation.
Yeah. So it could be becoming aware of them and just naming them. Okay, I'm noticing a part of me that procrastinates. I notice a part of me that's angry about that. I notice a part of me that's defensive of that. I wonder if there's a part that wishes I didn't do that. I wonder what else is here. And so harmony comes when my true self, in IFS we call it my true self, can be curious about those parts of me and kind of wonder, how are they trying to help me? What's their positive intention for me? And then that can create a harmony where there's more of a dance, kind of a dance of unity of like, hey, I get it. You're all trying to help me. The part that's trying to procrastinate is helping me in some way. And the part that doesn't like it, I get that too. And the part that says, well, that's just who I am. Yeah, that makes sense. Right. So there's me as the leader, the adult leader. And then there are these parts of me that are actually really trying to help me in some way.
So yeah, taking a step back, and which brings us to the next one, which is mapping out your systems.
Yeah, and we just did it, right? Like doing something and I want people to it's simple and complicated, and I want people to think about this as simple as possible. So take something like procrastination, take something like distraction or having a hard time focus. Take something that happens kind of every day and begin to just think about like, well, what else? All right, there's a procrastination part here, and there's a part that hates it, and then a part that says, well, that's just who I am. Or there's a part that's mad at it. Okay, well, that's how I kind of just start mapping, just start naming. Okay, there's procrastination and a part that doesn't like it, right? Or there's a part that wants to get up early, and a part that says, no, like I want to get more rest. And so, okay, so here are two parts, and then we can ask, how do I feel towards those parts? And then that's going to give us a list of other parts. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. I feel anxious about that. Okay, so then I'm just going to start mapping that. Just start writing that down. Or this is my system, or this is the inner family. That map is the family. When we talk about IFS and internal family systems, that's my inner family, right? The procrastinator, the one that hates it, the one that says, well, too bad, so sad. But that's my family, and then there's me.
So you can start off with like two, in any event, you might have two parts, but end up with 4 or 5.
Definitely, because there's reactions, right? Start with 2 parts. Start with two things, right? Pick 2 things that either you say to yourself, or something that you don't like, or something you want to change or fix, something that's real obvious, right? And like every day I struggle with blah, 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 right? Every day I struggle with how I'm eating, or I don't want to be drinking this, or I don't want to be eating this, or I want to be getting up earlier.
Everyday struggle.
Everyday struggles, everyday struggles, right? That we all have. Or I'm perfectionism, or I criticize myself all the time, or always feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like whatever just is really, you are already aware of it. Like you're already aware of this everyday struggle. And then imagine that I sometimes think like, well, imagine if you could just hold that out in your hand, right? This part of you that says this or struggles with this, and just sort of notice that in your hand. And then how are you feeling towards it? I guarantee they're sort of opposite parts that don't like it. There's sort of things I've mentioned already, but yeah. And so then we create that map, we create that family. And then we can sort of get to know ourselves with a little bit more curiosity by doing that.
And I think when you separate them like that, you mentioned having them in your hand. When you separate them like that, it kind of helps you understand that it's not you, because we think it's us. Well, it is part of us, but it's not me. It's just parts of me are interacting with each other.
Yeah. And think about how powerful that is, right? A part of me is anxious right now about this podcast. A part of me is nervous. Okay, well, there's a part of me that's nervous, but not all of me is nervous. A part of me procrastinates, but not all of me does that. A part of me thinks I'm an idiot and says you're stupid, but not all of me does that. Like there's something that feels really powerful and very hopeful about that.
Yeah, it is, because you kind of, I think the change of language and words alone, a part of me instead of I am.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And part activation.
Yeah.
Are you talking about triggers?
Definitely. Right. So, right. You say the word basketball, that activated a part of me. For me to say like, I hate it. Wow. Okay. That's a big reaction to that. So I almost was like, whoa, where did that come from? That was a pretty big, so that's activation, like activation in our system, activation in our nervous system. So that could be, a reaction that doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, why did I just react that way? I have no idea why I just reacted so strongly to that. That happens all the time. Like, we go just, again, normal life. We go through our life, or like driving, right? Driving, singing, listening to the radio, all is well. Someone cuts me off and I, flip them the bird and say, F you. And then I'm like, whoa, I just meditated and did yoga for an hour. What was
Yeah.
that? Right? There's something activated. So so that's what that means. It just means that we're triggered. And so what IFS does, which I absolutely love this, is instead of the word trigger, they use the word trailhead. And what that
Yes.
means is we actually use that as something to explore. So, I just said I hate basketball. And then I thought, oh, let me explore that. Instead of it being a trigger, which we also have a reaction to the word trigger. I
We
can
do.
think, okay, yeah, so I can think that it is a trailhead of like, wait, let me walk down that. I live in New Hampshire and there's lots of hiking trails, and a trailhead is the beginning of a trail, right? So sometimes, often I might know, okay, here's a trailhead on the side of the road, and it's going to take me to a waterfall, let's say, but I'm going to start on the trailhead, the beginning, and then I'm going to walk down this path and it's going to lead me somewhere. So I'm going to take, instead of the trigger, I'm going to take that activation as it's a path that's going to lead me somewhere. So I can take that in my nervous system. And if there's nervous system activation or anxiety or just any reaction, right? Sort of a big reaction, or even sort of noticing that, like calling ourselves stupid or calling ourselves names, then, okay, well, can I use that as a trailhead that I can turn towards and walk down that path and see what parts are there? What parts are involved in this situation?
Mm, mm, mm. Yes, because I'm actually in the part of your book where you talk about trailheads, and I was like, oh, that sounds more calming than you use the word trigger.
Yeah, right. Well, when I think about like when I get triggered, I mean that's a I'm just gonna text my son to stop messing with the dog because he's
Playing with a dog.
yes. Okay, sorry. Yeah, when we think about trigger, the word trigger actually causes activation, right? I'm triggered. Oh my gosh, everybody stop. I'm triggered. And
It's like,
then that actually
stop
creates
everything. Yeah.
yes. Right, it creates an activation in us, right? Like we actually get triggered from the word trigger, I think.
And I think you're talking about things like waiting when you're in a queue and you're waiting for something. I get that myself when you're just like, these people just hurry up.
Hurry up. Yes. Yes. I have a lot of hurry up. You are going too slow. Come on, let's go.
And you
But
can
the
almost
trigger,
feel
there's
your
these
body just,
trailheads. Go ahead.
and you can feel your body activating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's difficult at that moment to be curious about why is this happening now.
Yeah. Well, if you
And
practice that a little bit.
okay, like doing breath work maybe to calm yourself down.
Or to notice that, right? Like breath work for sure, like breathing, sort of just noticing your breath, but noticing, okay, I can notice because it's a part of me. Oh, a part has been activated. My heart is racing. Okay, so there must be a part here. So here's what it also brings calmness is, wow, okay, my heart is racing right now. There must be a part here, or my stomach hurts, or I'm shaking, or I'm sweating. So there must be a part here. And let me see if I can be curious about what just got activated, or who inside of me just got activated.
mm, mm. I haven't figured out whose mine yet is.
Well,
I
and
just
you
know
don't
to get
have
triggered.
to. Yeah, and you don't have to say, "Oh, that's my 13-year-old." You really could just say, "Okay, it's a part of me who is feeling this," right? It's a part of me who's feeling,
Mm,
uncomfortable or not happy. It doesn't
mm,
have to be that specific. It really could be like, "Oh, I'm triggered." Okay, so it's a part in my stomach. Okay, so I'm just noticing a part in my stomach. What happens when I just notice that part that's in my stomach right now? My stomach is upset. I'm really nervous. Okay, So I'm going to put my attention there. And then what happens when I put my attention there? Usually we calm down a little bit. Usually there's a softening when we put our attention there.
Because I think without awareness, you just respond straight away.
Yeah.
That's
which is another part, right? Like there's sort of like there's anxiety in my heart or in my chest, and then that feels scary to me. So I'm going to respond. I'm either going to yell, or I'm going to go grab the Oreo cookies, or I'm going to try to be really organized or perfectionistic. I'm going to do something to take care of that experience in my body.
And that is what we call firefighters.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So firefighters come in when we've been triggered, right? So you've been triggered, your heart's racing, you're very uncomfortable. And so something inside of you has been triggered. And then the firefighter part of you, that's just a category of parts. And so that's a protective part, and it comes in to fight the fire. It comes in to take out the fire, to put water on the fire. And so it will use whatever it needs to use. So it will use alcohol or drugs or porn or shopping or perfectionism or workaholism. It will use whatever it has to do to take care of that fire, to take care of whatever's been triggered.
I think it was on your book, you talk about the house burning and the firefighter comes in and puts out the fire. That was very good.
Yeah, because so he ruins the house, right? Like, so the firefighter. Right, so now there's flood damage, and everything's destroyed, and right.
The house is ruined, but people are safe.
Exactly, because that's what the firefighter is concerned about, the people being safe. So they're concerned about that which we call the exile, that younger part of us that's been triggered. And that exiled part of us is another category of part. And that part is the ones that feel often unloved, unseen, not listened to, a lot of shame. They're the ones that hold these burdens. And so our firefighters come in when those feelings or those parts of us have been triggered. That's when they come in and use their big hoses to take out those exiles, to make sure we don't feel that way. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel unloved. So I'll eat all those Oreo cookies to make sure I don't feel unloved.
And in say a parent-child relationship, usually the child triggers the parent all the time.
Yes.
So is that just your child having a relationship with your firefighters?
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, ouch. Yeah. But our kids our kids and our partners trigger us like nobody else in the world, right? I mean, their parts know how to get their needs met. So this is a great way of thinking of multiplicity, which is what we're talking about. It's my kid's part, right? It's not him. It's not his self. It's his part is having a feeling or having a need. And so that part of him is they're going to trigger a part of me.
And when you're not comfortable with that part, you respond.
Right. And so, so
go to your
often,
room.
exactly. We're, my adult mom parts are not really the ones that, some often, right, they're my loving adult mom parts, but they also can be my 13-year-old part, like my own inner 13-year-old parts that respond to him, right, to respond to his parts. And so that's why we end up saying crazy stuff to our kids that we're like, I cannot believe I just said that. Like, I am an adult. And it's like, but in that moment, I was actually also 13 and acting like a 13-year-old. Because sometimes I'm like, yes, like that was not the adult me speaking. That was a younger version of me speaking to him.
Because the reaction is so automatic that, you don't stand there and think like, okay, this is what I'm going to say now. It just happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's almost like a feeling is triggered. Like, get rid of this now.
Yeah. Especially when they're the closest to us. So they're the most, where our vulnerability with our partners and our children it's more open, right? I'm more vulnerable. I love, my partner and my son. I love them more than anything in the world. So that vulnerability is so intense.
Mm, mm, mm. And working with exiles, the little parts, what's that process like?
Yeah, so we begin with getting to know our protective parts. So we have two types of protective parts. One is our firefighters, which we just talked about, but the
Mm,
other type is called the manager. So the firefighters are those reactive. I've been triggered. The exiles here. I'm feeling a lot of shame, and so the firefighter comes in. So let's say it's with which we're talking about sons and kids for some reason tonight, which is interesting. So, say it's that he wants me to play basketball with him, and I'm feeling, really overwhelmed because all the stuff I want to do or whatever, like stuff I have to do for the evening. And so I know that's going to happen. And so my manager part says, okay, we know that's going to happen. So let's prepare ahead. Let's put a crock pot meal together. Let's clean the house. Let's set a timer that we're going to play basketball for 45 minutes. And then we're going to do the dishes for 10 minutes. And then we're going to eat dinner for 20 minutes. And then he's going to take a shower for 5 minutes. And then like this manager part comes in and kind of over manages like it's a proactive, usually organized, usually like a time management. We usually love these parts of us. We hate the firefighters and we love these parts. They're organized, they're proactive, and they kind of manage our lives, right? They manage our lives. And so my parts work really, really hard, but often they cause us a lot of anxiety, right? I have to do this perfectly. And then they're really rigid. Like, here's how the night's going to look. Bam, 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 bam. This is what's going to happen tonight. And he's going to be really nice to me. But maybe he comes, I pick him up from school and that's not his plan, right? His plan looks totally different. And then my manager is now pissed off. Right. So now my 13-year-old is like, I worked all day to plan our evening. And now my 13-year-old is mad at him. So that's a long explanation to talk about managers. So we have managers that manage our lives, and then they're protective. And then because they don't want, right, the manager wants to make sure that I don't feel less than, I don't feel like a bad mom, right? My manager is going to work really hard to make sure I don't feel like a bad mom. And so the managers work really hard to make sure I don't feel that shame. And then the firefighter comes in when I do feel that. I do feel sometimes like I'm a bad mom. And the firefighter comes in to take care of that fire. And so how we begin to work with exiles is I, and my authentic self, I begin with that separation. Okay, that's a part of me that's working really hard to make sure that I never feel like I'm a bad mom. So that's a part of me. And so that part of me that is kind of rigid with the schedule, like sort of rigid with schedule. And then gets really mad when it doesn't go well. So rigid, kind of over-organized, rigid with the schedule. And so I can say, okay, there's this part of me that's rigid with the schedule, and I can be curious about that. I can hear its story, find out how it's trying to help me, or I can befriend it and build this relationship with it between me, my true self, and the part of me that's rigid with my schedule. And I get it wants to have a fun night. It wants to feel connected. It does not want to feel like I'm a bad mom. Doesn't want to feel shame, like I'm an awful, terrible person. I mean, the worst thing for me would be to be a bad mom. That would probably be one of the worst things for me. And so I can really get to know this part, and then I can ask it, who inside are you protecting, right? Like, what are you protecting me from? What feeling, what meaning, what messaging are you protecting me from? What are you trying to make sure that I never think or feel? And let's say in this instance, it may tell me, I want to make sure that you never feel like you're a bad mom, that you're not enough, Okay. Yeah. So then I can track that. So is there a part of me inside that feels like I'm not enough, that I'm bad, like that who I am is bad and who I am is not enough? And then I can think about and sort of just consider, maybe not think about, but just consider when is the first time, and where has there been other times in my life I felt that way? Is there a memory that comes up? Is there a childhood experience that comes up that I can link that to? And again, not in my thoughts, but in my body, I can ask these parts. Is there a memory that comes up where I really felt like I was bad and I was not enough? And that's where that's where I and myself am going to get connected to that exile that believes she is bad and believes that she's not enough. That has nothing to do with my son, right? It has everything to do with me and an experience I had growing up, and maybe many experiences I had growing up. And so then I and my true self can then turn towards that sweet exile part of me that had those experiences and build a relationship with her.
So much to pick from that. I'll pick two things. So working with exile, it's not something, first of all, it takes, like, that process sounds condensed, but it takes a very long time.
Potentially, right? Potentially, you would do that. I mean, you could do that work on your own, and that my book is a good like self-help journey where you could do that on your own. But yeah, this would be done in a therapist office or with an IFS practitioner or with an IFS coach, with somebody else that can really lead you along the path so that it can help you unblend from those parts of you, help you get in relationship with those parts of you. So, ideally you could do that in, with a professional in some way, but you can also do that on your own. You could do that on your own. And it really could start with, just like we talked about at the beginning, just everyday stuff that you're noticing, like everyday parts that you're just aware of. And yes, I did say that very fast, but it might just be bringing lots of curiosity to your system. And I think, the question that we ask, and this comes from other therapy models too, is asking the part, again, not thinking about it, but asking the part, what are you afraid would happen if, right? Like, what are you afraid would happen if you were a bad mom? Okay, then I would be, I would be worthless. Oh, okay. And is that the worst thing, being worthless? Yeah, that's the worst thing I could be, is worthless. Another part of me might say the worst thing is being unlovable. Sort of what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that would mean? And kind of following that to hear that exile's belief or that exile's burden.
But you have to go with the uncomfort as well, don't you?
Well, and that's where self is here. So and that's the difference too with IFS. It's uncomfortable, but as long as I am here, then it's not overwhelming. It's not flooding. It's not re-traumatizing, because I am here. So I am here, and self has the qualities of calmness and connection and curiosity and compassion, and I'm grounded. So when I'm hearing stories of my parts of my exit, so say I'm hearing a story that is related to trauma around a part of me that felt like she was bad, and say there's a memory here that has a lot of trauma around it, I can be with it. And I talk in my book about this word withness. I can be with that part, but I can be adult me, really grounded and calm, while she's telling me, horrific details of her trauma. I'm not re-traumatized by that, right? I'm being with that part of me in a way that she feels. It's almost like, if my kid comes to me and he's sobbing and he's hysterical, I go immediately calm, right? I'm immediately calm. I'm exactly who he ideally I'm exactly who he needs me to be in that moment, right? I'm loving, I'm calm, I'm stable, I'm not losing it, right? If he's losing it, I can't lose it, right? So that idea of I'm being that loving adult presence, so that this therapy is not re-traumatizing. It's not, right? I can go to that part of me that feels unlovable and let her know and let her feel that she's loved by me. And we have this connection and this kind of reattaching connection. People sometimes call it reparenting. We don't use that term in IFS, but that's kind of the idea. So there's healing that happens. That's a long answer to your question.
No, I understand it. I understand it. I just hope someone else understands it. So working with exile, you have to so much start from the top down, if you like work with your managers
Yeah.
to get to the bottom of why do you need to do that? Because I think one thing we don't like to do is not be in control. It's like what?
A part of us does. A
Yeah,
part of
part of
us doesn't
us
like to
doesn't
be in
like to be.
control.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, why are you doing that? What happens when you stop? It's like I
Yeah.
can't stop because nothing gets done.
Yeah. So James, would it be helpful, because I know I did a lot of describing and explaining, and it can be really confusing. Do you think it would be helpful for us to do a little bit with you, just so people can maybe see what it's like?
Okay, let's go.
Do you have a part in mind or something you're curious about, or you just said you need to be in control, otherwise nothing gets done?
And I was using an expression. I'm trying to think. Do I have a part? Um, Okay, so I need to think of something that I do.
Something that you do that you don't like to do, or something that you say that wish you didn't say to yourself, or something that you want to stop, that you do that you don't, that you want to stop doing, or something that you want to start doing, something you want to change.
Um, I'm trying to think of something not too heavy. It's like, how long? How long do you have? Um, Sorry,
Take your time.
my mind's like not that, not that, not that. Um, okay. I don't know if we can work on this, but like, remember at the start when I was getting emotionally, so that comes up every time.
Mm.
Now I love doing a podcast,
Mhm.
and also have a fear of doing it.
Mhm.
I don't like being under spotlight.
Good.
Right, so that's why when I hit record, I get that feeling of like, what the hell are you doing? you know,
Yeah. Good. Good.
and it's like I joined Toastmasters. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I do know
Um,
what that is.
and like that, I sign up to do things. I'm actually doing okay, but I sign up to do things. But when you're sitting in a room and it's coming up to me, it's almost like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, why are you going there again? But like that, I do calm down, but it's just the fear of
Yeah.
like, oh my God, everyone's looking at me.
Good.
And I don't know if we can work with that one.
Let's see. Let's see if we can try. So I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing two things. One is, what the hell are you doing? And
Mm.
then I'm hearing fear. So that feels like two different things. One might be, guess what happens when I say that? So I'm hearing a part that says, what the hell are you doing? And then I'm hearing fear.
And I think it's more fear.
Okay.
And what am I doing is the curious part of me that wants to be curious about, oh, let's find out about this topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rest
So
is free.
yeah, so when you think about that fear, when you even think about when we first started and you were noticing the fear, where do you notice that in your body? Even right now talking about it, is that showing up in your body anywhere?
And yeah, it's around, at the moment it's kind of calm, but it's around my stomach area.
Okay.
But the initial part, like at the start, it's like my whole body.
Whole body. And you just sort of went tense. So you kind of went back. Did you notice that? Your body went backwards a little bit.
Oh, I don't even know if I do that.
Yeah, your body you kind of rolled your shoulders and moved back.
Okay. And yeah, I don't even know if I do that because I mean, like, I'm just like, oh, let's get this over and done with.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Is that what it feels like the part says? Right. So there's sort of this motion in your body, and then let's get this over with.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like it doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. And James, how are you feeling towards this part?
And I don't know because I know I want to do it, so I don't know why he doesn't want to do it.
So the part that wants to do it, where is that part in or around your body? The part that really wants to do it, that's curious about all these different topics.
And I don't think he doesn't really trigger that much emotion in me because it's excitement. Well, it triggers excitement.
Mhm.
This the fear part. He's the one that has all the emotion. That's
Right.
like,
So just notice that there are two. One that's excited and one that's fearful.
mm,
Right? There's one that's anxious and fearful in your whole body. And so just sort of notice that the excited one is here also. And what's it like to notice the excitement is also present?
and it kind of calms things down
Okay.
and makes it slightly better.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes it slightly better, but that's because the energy it's not that powerful at the moment. And so now I know the fearful part is there and the excitement part is there. So I can see both of them. But the initial trigger, when that happens, because it's so strong, that's
Yeah.
the only one that I focus on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, of course that makes a lot of sense that you would focus on that one. It takes over, right? It
Mm,
activates you. So that makes a lot of sense. So see if it feels okay. Just what's it like right now when you notice that they're both here? One's excited and one's fearful. Sort of see what it's like right now just to notice that they both exist. And then check and see how you're feeling towards both. The excited one and the nervous, fearful one.
and there's there's a lot of sadness on the fearful
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where do you notice the sadness in your body?
And well, not my whole body at the moment, but it's mainly just a lot of it's around my stomach area and it kind of just coming down.
Okay.
Mm,
Does it feel okay to put your attention there? Put your attention on your stomach area to this part that feels sad?
mm. Yeah, the emotion slows down. And now I'm just thinking, why are you feeling sad?
All right, so see if the
I don't know if that's the
thinking.
right question.
Yeah, that's okay. So see if does it feel like it's coming from your head or your heart? The why are you feeling sad? The question. Coming from your
But
head or coming from your heart?
it's coming from my heart.
Okay, great. So see if you can
Mm.
ask it. Ask it with your heart, with yourself. What's happening? What's happening? Part that's sad in my stomach. Why are you feeling so sad? Just see what it wants to tell you.
It's like if I sit in it for if I sit in it for a bit, I just get more sad. I don't really have any answer.
All right. So
Uh,
check and see how you're feeling towards the sadness. How are you feeling towards it?
and yeah, it's sad. I just feel bad. Like, why do you feel so sad? I
Yeah. Does it feel like compassion? Or does it
uh,
feel like kind of judgment?
No, it's not judgment. No, it's more compassion, not judgment. Um, yeah, maybe something I need to lean into is like, what do I feel sad when I should be excited?
Okay, well, see if let's just take, is it okay just take a couple more minutes with this?
Yeah.
Okay. So see if you can let that sadness know. You can almost just sort of put your attention on your stomach where it's kind of hanging out. Just let it know that you have compassion for it and just see how it responds to your compassion. We're not trying to analyze it. We're not trying to figure it out. We're just going to send it some compassion. Just see how it reacts to your compassion.
Um, yeah, it maybe that's what it needs because it feels good.
Oh, okay.
Because there's no judgment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's a fear of judgment.
Wow. Okay. Can it tell you more about that? This fear of judgment?
Um, ooh, sorry, need a drink.
That's okay.
Yeah, the two parts. There's a part that's fear of judgment because thinks that there's a fear of judgment that you're not going to be liked, um, and then there's the other part that wants to be out there.
Yeah.
So it's like a conversation between who wants to be out there and the one that's afraid that uh, they'll be judged.
Yeah. Good. Good. James, how do you experience these two parts? The one that wants to be out there and the one that's afraid he'll be judged. Like, do you get an image or memory or shape or color around these two parts?
Um, no, it's images. Sorry, when I make images, I mean like people.
Okay.
Hmm.
People like what does that
Like,
mean?
oh, I mean like what you call my inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel okay sharing? You don't have to. Sort of what images you get from these two?
Um, they're just little versions of me. Well, my what's the right word for it? And yeah, they're just my kid part. That's kind. Yeah, that's stuck there.
Okay. Do you notice what's the difference between the two of them? One wants to get out and one's afraid of being judged. Is there anything distinguishing factors between the two of them?
Um, the one that wants to get out is younger, and the
Okay.
one that's afraid of being judged is older.
Okay, good. Good. And how are you feeling towards both of them?
Um, the other one has a lot of sad. sadness in him,
Hmm.
and the younger one doesn't so much.
Okay. Okay.
The younger one doesn't have any sadness.
Okay. All right. Good. How is it for them to have you notice them? Like you're really noticing them, you're noticing their sadness. How are they doing with your noticing them?
Um, it's good because it's like we're having a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like a three people conversation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And how open is your heart to both of them?
It's pretty open.
Great. Great.
Um, yeah.
All right. So we could stop here if you want, or we could keep going.
I don't know.
All right, let's do this. Let's see if this feels okay. Let's see if both of those parts know how old you are right now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah. The excited well, the excited one. Sorry, the fun one. No, the younger one's about 4, and the older one's about 8, 7 or 8.
Okay, good. Good. And so see if you could ask both of them, is there something inside that they're protecting you from? Is there a feeling or a thought or a belief that they're trying to help you with?
I'm getting that reaction again. Oh,
Oh, okay. In your stomach or your whole body?
my whole body. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm just getting more feelings, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe he
so
doesn't want to talk.
yeah, and that's okay. That's okay.
Mm,
Yeah. So see if you could let them know that don't have to talk. They don't have to talk. And just see what happens when you say that. See if that whole that the feelings, see if they
calms
can just
down.
yeah, see what
Mm,
happens when you're like, it's okay. We don't have to talk. See if he can hear you say that.
yeah, yeah, that's fine. I'm back now.
Beautiful. How does it feel to be back? What does that feel like?
Um, it feels good, but I'm also curious. Um, it's almost like I'm trying to figure out why the fear and the side is there. That's the curiosity.
Yeah.
But it's not taking me there.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, I think that, we're doing a podcast and um this is your first time. And so I get the parts of you that are like, no, no, thank you. And so, I want to honor those, the parts that are like, we're going to, kind of stopping you right here. So see if it feels okay just to go back towards those two boys, those two younger parts of you, and just see how they're doing. See if they need anything from you right now.
Yeah, the fearful part just needs um some compassion. It just kind of needs someone to be there.
Yeah. And does it feel like you can let it know that you can be there in your compassion?
Mm. Yeah, feels like I need to spend more time there.
Excuse me.
Not in a bad way, but feels like I need to spend more time with the part of me that's um, the fearful, sad part of me.
Yeah. So see if you could let both of them know that if that feels true, that you can do that, that you'll be listening to this episode again on your own, that you could either write, you can even journal about what you noticed today, how we got here, and let them know that they can continue talking to you and telling you more characteristics about them, that you're interested and you're curious in both of them, the fearful part and the sad part.
I think writing works best for me.
Perfect. Yeah, so let them know that. And see if there's anything else they need or anything in your body, anything in your system needs anything from you.
No, just feel calm now.
Beautiful. So that is what
Yeah.
an IFS session would look like. And we could, I would encourage you to journal what happened. And then you could keep writing with those parts, having those parts write to tell you more about themselves. And you can continue showing them compassion. I always write, you want to write, the fearful one wants to say whatever it wants to say, and the sad one can say what it wants to say. And then you, in your compassion, can respond. So that there is this, you said there's sort of a three-way dialogue, right? There's the two of them, and there's you here also. So we want to have you and your compassion there so they really can hear that. And that we know from your body reaction, we know there's something else here, right? There's something pretty powerful that these two parts are maybe protecting, or protecting you from. So there's some big emotion here, and it makes a lot of sense to me that your system, did a stop sign, because our systems do that, and we want to listen to that. And so yeah, there's a stop sign, but we know from that energy and from that emotion that there's something else here. That's great. That's really good. Lots good trailhead. Good trailhead.
Yes. No triggers. Yes.
Not a trigger. Beautiful
No
trailhead.
trailheads. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. James, so how are you doing?
I'm good. Okay, back to my podcast. I was gonna ask you for examples of IFS, but I was gonna ask you for examples of some IFS, but there's some in your book there, which a lot of it references yourself.
Yeah, and I actually don't know that we even need that. I think that you just did such a beautiful, you just did something so beautiful, and your listeners can really hear a great example, a true life example of what it means to go inside and just start kind of mining, right? Like, okay, this is a thing that I just noticed right now. And so I'm just going to start mining what else is here. And I'm going to do it with a little bit of curiosity. And we're going to go slow, and we're just going to really notice. So your listeners just got that. You just gave them a gift. I know that was tough, but you did a great job.
Yes, I feel so. No, I feel good. Because normally I'll have a part that's just like, no, we're not going there. We're not going there.
Well, I really appreciate the part of you that part stepped aside so you could go there. Like I really
Normally it's
appreciate
like,
that.
No. And sorry, my last question to you, which is not related to this. What do you do for fun?
Ooh, what do I do for fun? Well, it's kind of wintry here still. I mean, even though it's April, it's sort of still wintry. And so, what am I doing for fun right now? Right now, we've been going to some plays, going to some local theater. That's been fun. And we like to ski, but it's sort of what's happening now is it's not beach weather, it's not ski weather. So it's like, it's not warm enough to go hiking. So I like to be outside, clearly. So I like to be outside. I like to hike and ski and paddleboard. I have a paddleboard. I love paddleboarding. I love being on the water. So I love being out. I love doing active things for fun. And so it's a hard time of year. And my parts can feel that. I can feel that sort of heavy kind of blah, a lot of heavy blah right now because of the weather.
It still looks a bit like autumn, doesn't it? I say, like the leaves are brown and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's no leaves on the trees. It's very wet. So in New Hampshire, we call it mud season. So it's very, very wet. There's no snow on the ground. So the snow is all melted. So the ground is wet. We're not seeing dandelions. We're not seeing flowers. There's no flowers coming up. It's just very wet and muddy. So it's mud season. We don't really have a spring. We have an amazing summer. We have an amazing fall, a beautiful snow in winter, and then we have mud season. And that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
My parts don't like it.
Used to be so bad at the start. Oh my God. But I'm getting better at it. Okay. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a quick review on my Facebook page, Don't Be Afraid to Talk, or DM me on Instagram. The show notes will include all of the relevant links from today's episode. If you haven't already, please download, leave a rating, and share with your friends. You might just reach that person who needs to hear this message. Please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. I am James Lumumba, signing off with gratitude.